Look, today's video is about the fact that you don't actually know anything. Yeah, I know, not the best way to start a new video, but we live in a time where people confuse feeling with understanding. A generation that thinks truth depends on whatever mood they woke up with, and sure, that comes from a huge amount of arrogance, but that's not even the focus of today's video. Last week, I got the result of my first calculus exam, college calculus exam, and I scored an amazing 4. Not even a full 4, but you got the point. And I studied a lot, paid attention in class, but the more I studied, the more I realized I knew absolutely nothing compared to what I had to know. And to be honest, that's been happening with everything I studied. What is even more impressive is that besides not knowing, the average person today repeating things that they don't understand with the most confident face in the world. Y'all know someone like this. They didn't study, didn't investigate, didn't reflect, but they heard someone saying, thought it sounded cool, and repeat it like esqueci como é que fala papagaio. An animal, like an animal. It is a loud crowd, but intellectually empty. People who talks about philosophy without ever reading a philosopher. People who talks about God without ever praying. People who talks about the world without ever looking inside their own soul. And the sooner you realize that you don't know anything, and I mean understand that you have to learn, the better things will get. Let me start with something simple to show how serious this really is. My father always told me something, and I bet many of you have heard it too. They can take everything from you, except your knowledge. Well, look at yourself. Look at everything around you. I don't know what you have, a car, friends, family, but who guarantees, God forbid, all of that won't be taken away if you get hit by a bus today? And then the foolish arrogant guy says, well, all my knowledge disappears when I die anyway. Good thing, thanks be to God, that Alan Turing, Steve Jobs, Isaac Newton, or any other scientist or engineers didn't think like that. Because if they had chosen to sit around pretending to learn instead of actually learn, today we'd be still living in a world without engines, without machines, without electricity. There would be no computers, no internet, no cryptography, not even the idea of a machine capable of thinking. But here's the point. The desire to learn, the desire to understand things only exists when you first acknowledge that you don't know. Let me give you an example. A kid in 3rd grade, a bit arrogant, gets called to the front of the class to answer some math questions for a grade. He gets up, walks to the teacher, but inside he's dying. Not because he was afraid of getting it wrong, but because he was terrified of what everyone was thinking when he got it wrong. That kid was me, in Miss Regiane's class. I wasn't actually shy, I was proud. Afraid that the great Albert Einstein version of me would be instantly crumble when I missed that question. That's not thinking, that's not knowledge, that is pride. Alright, now that I've said everything that was bothering me, here's the real question. Why do we pretend we know something?